Welcome back to episode 5 of Fables from the Pickled Quipper. I am your host and master of dungeons, Phil. I just bowed, but you can't see that. Join me tonight as my hapless adventurers take their first steps into the fabled city of Delzimmer. Will they commit every social faux pas under the sun? Will they discover the identity of the man in the trees? Listen on to find out.
Yeah. All right. Well, Eli, just give us a little rundown of the last doodad.
Our bold group of adventurers returned back from their encounter with the Purveyor. They followed Splickensprock or Sprickensblock, can't quite remember, our two favorite kobold, or our one favorite kobold duo. We got back to Gorbo and Vola and engaged in conversation. We found out some interesting timeline or parallel universe discoveries. The book that Vola had unremembered recordings, but there was the two different clans that they are following, or I guess they worshipped. Tribe of the Hooked Claw and the Tribe of the Green Serpent. We discussed back and forth, trying to get a handle on things, warn them of the possible dangers in the deep, and made our decision as a group to head back to the surface and try to figure out what was going on in the actual world. But yeah, we made our way up, got back to Delzimmer. We're just on the outskirts of it.
Before we get there, so we're approaching the gatehouse. If we just sort of imagine we're still a little ways off, I believe there was one more conversation to sneak in before we get to town.
So Eska was going to attempt at some point kind of pull up next to Cassette. I feel like I should level with you some while I have the chance. I followed you in to town when you arrived, and just been observing you. I had been on the road a little while and looking for people who seemed trustworthy, and you gave off a good vibe. But I wanted to see what you're about. Circumstances obviously drove things a little faster. Yeah, I felt I should let you know in case you would notice that, or...
Well, I appreciate you being honest with me. I didn't notice. I guess that's the most flattering way to hear that somebody's been stalking you.
And a return compliment, for I was trying to not be seen. I had been on the lookout for travel companions of a trustworthy nature. I've grouped with people before a few times with less success, so I was being careful, trying to work out what your intentions were on your travels.
Well, I guess we're kind of looking for similar things. I came here to, well, I say here, I don't know what here is.
It's confusing.
I came to town to, whether it be myself or with a group, to find a way to make a difference and do better. But I guess we ended up having the same struggles with, you don't know who to trust.
Very much.
And maybe this happened, maybe this forced us into a position where we have to trust each other.
I think so, and I think for the most part these others seem okay. Claire seems like a solid, good-natured one. The dwarf, I don't know. But I don't know. Keep your eye on that Dragonborn. Something about him seems shifty.
Yeah, I've has been hesitant. My kind of instinct is to try to trust somebody when you're in this crazy of a situation, but I understand that
Aye,
we don't know enough about everybody just yet.
aye, till he shows something bad, we should probably trust him. But I something about him.
I don't necessarily get off a bad vibe, but he's certainly a little more brash than I'm used to. But
Hmm.
okay,
Well,
thank you
I just
for, I guess, sharing, and we're all in a
we
situation. I guess
yeah
we got to
we're
look out for each other.
exactly. We gotta watch each other's backs. Who knows what this town is gonna be like? I'm not sure if we're gonna be welcomed or if we're gonna be rounded up and killed. Uh, it's a worry.
Well, I am glad we have each other, if nothing else.
Indeed. Um, and then she just sort of nods and drops back again.
As Cater power walks past everybody.
Yes, yeah.
It sounds
He's
far
already
too energetic for Cater.
he's gained on Claire. It looks like he's about to power into the first place.
He's trying to get proficient in athletics.
He does have 2 proficiencies currently that I've allowed him. And frankly, he's only earned one of those. As you approach the gatehouse, you see a couple of guards up the front. Bardor, you're up the front there, so you have a clear view. These are the Nagra, the traditional Delzimmer guard. You don't recognize any of them immediately, but you know that they are in the sort of the normal garb that you would associate with the town guard. So they are not dressed like the guys that you guys encountered out at the Pickled Quipper.
As we approach, do they seem interested, worried,
Seem kind of
bothered?
bored.
Okay, they don't sort of like move to stop us, or
No,
okay.
no one seems on particularly alert.
I used to work here in this town up until about 2 days ago.
So much has changed. Does the town look the way you left it?
Does it?
On the approach, the only thing that looked out of place was that there's the new tower that you could see from that had the insignia on it that you didn't recognize in terms of the banners and stuff. Everything else about the city so far has looked as you remember it. Yeah.
How are the wall? Like, is this a well-defended city? Is that like a big wall, or
Yeah, it's a pretty sturdy wall. At 20 foot.
okay?
The guardhouse extends another sort of 10 feet above. There's the walls look thick enough that they could be walked if needed. So yeah, it's got some size to it.
And is it? I can't remember. We're here in the morning, right? So does it seem sort of busy in like as we, I guess, crest somewhat perhaps the gates?
Certainly, you can hear some sort of hubbub. But yeah, Bardor, you would know that the gatehouses always have at least 4 guards.
I guess as we go, I'm gonna probably linger towards the back of the group and try and just sort of surreptitiously keep an eye on people as we pass to see if anybody clocks us in a way that seems overlong.
Okay. Make a perception check.
7. Oh, you natural one me. Nasty.
Yeah. It's a
I'll
good thing
take
I
the
didn't roll
7.
for you. Yeah. Good decision. Okay. All right, I'll bear that in mind. So, you moving in? Or are you just going to stand by the wall looking like creepers?
Reckon we're moving in.
Yeah, Claire's gonna try to stay as much in the middle of everybody as possible.
And Cater is going to cling to your side like a limpet. Everywhere you go, he will follow.
They may link arms at some point. For
He'd probably
support.
jump
Mutual support.
initially, and then be like, "Oh wait, no, this is fine." The one this chappie on my left says, "All right, state your business."
Looking to maybe buy or trade.
Okay, I been here before.
Yeah, I've been here.
Right, should we still ask for papers? Nah. All right, you're fine. Just don't cause any trouble. Keep your weapons stowed, and if you're gonna get really drunk, just don't punch anyone important.
Fair.
And they make no attempt to block you in any way, so you're free to move forwards.
Charge.
Now, I will say, as you go through the thing, you see the other two guards that look like the two on the outside. The other one, who's kind of like in that back corner, he is dressed like the folks that you encountered previously. The people who attacked you previously at the Pickled Quipper.
Yeah, okay.
The mean people.
Sure, the mean people.
Any sense of hostility?
Nope, not a jot. Seems as uninterested in you as everyone else was.
Intrigued.
As you come in, Bardor, you have a fair amount of knowledge of this portion of town. This is not the full town. This is just the southern portion. To the right is a herbalist's shop. You can't see the name of it. I don't think you've. Yeah, no, you may have encountered. I tell you, what, give me just a general history check with advantage.
I don't know if I've been there before. I got a 5.
Okay. Yeah, you do not recall the name of the shop. Ahead of you on the left, there is a statue there, sort of the sort of T-junction there. That is a statue to the dwarven god Moradin, and the shrine to Moradin is the first building up here on the left. It's sort of officially to Moradin, but the other like the full dwarf pantheon is sort of regarded there. So those are the buildings that are immediately in front of you.
I think we're taking your lead. For now, you're the local guide.
Since it's right here, do we want to just stop in here? Does anybody want to sample wares of Delzimmer?
I am not interested in wares. More finding where we are.
I think I find that still aware.
Shut up, you.
Rude.
Shut up, Cater.
Take your weights and power walk elsewhere.
If he comes at us with 20 strength, it's on you guys.
Hey, he's on our side. That's fine.
We'll have to get him some ankle weights, because otherwise he's just building up his upper body.
Yeah.
You cannot forget leg day.
You don't skip leg day.
We'll go to the temple.
Okay. Inside, there's a couple of there's a bunch of statues and stuff. There's a couple of dwarfs in conversation.
I'm actually gonna hang outside. Just sort of sit by a tree. Just outside.
Okay, that's no problem.
Phil, before
Yeah.
we go in real quick, can I turn to Claire real quick and what what god do you follow?
Well, my family does traditionally follow Moradin because, I mean, he is the main god of the dwarves. But when I went to my schooling, I actually ended up choosing LaRue. It's a bit of a complicated story, but yeah.
Okay.
And she
Maybe
points at
maybe
the unicorn on her shield.
okay. Maybe a story for another day.
It's admittedly maybe not one of my best moments.
I'll walk inside the.
Okay. So they're having a little conversation here. One of them is decked out in sort of clerical attire, a set of red robes. The other one is in gray robes, has no hair, a large beard, and a fair amount of tattoos across their body. As you come in, they're the only ones in there, and they stop talking.
Oh, I will nod my head.
Greetings to you as well. The one in the red robes, sort of nods and welcomes you in. What brings you to the shrine? Well, guidance we might be able to help you with. It's good that you come to pay your respects, though. That's only right and proper. As you know, it's traditional for us to keep an offering plate at the door for those who wish to pay their respects. And he just sort of looks over at an empty bowl next to the door you walked through, and just sort of gives you a little kind of nudge towards it.
I'm like, yes, my apologies. Where's my head? And I'll put in 2 gold coins.
He gives a appreciative nod. Thank you, brother. I do appreciate that. My name is Kaylee. I am the priest here to Moradin. This is Gerda. He's one of our acolytes. He's actually there's a couple of different types of acolytes here, and he's one of the more physically adept, shall we say. And as you look at this Gerda fellow, you can see he's kind of stacked. Like he's got very lean muscles, but there's a lot of muscle there somehow still. It's a little confusing, but you're pretty confident in yourself as a fighter. You wouldn't want to go up against this guy. He looks like he's seen more than his fair share of physical combat. So it's guidance you say you're looking for.
Claire is like tentatively like peeking around the corner with a very like bug-eyed expression.
Okay.
It's all right, sister. You can come in. We don't bite. Well, I don't. No promises for Gerda, though.
She makes a weird, like, strained noise that kind of sounds like it's supposed to be a laugh, but isn't quite a laugh. And slowly sidles in and drops as well 2 gold into the plate.
It's a pleasure to meet you both. You said you've been to Delzimmer before?
Yes, I was previously in the employment of one of the merchants only a couple of days ago. And the house Sarat, saying slightly questioningly, hoping that they're still around.
He a little. You see, just a hint of a twitch as you say the name, and he sort of nods and says, "Oh, I know them. Believe there's a couple of the less prosperous members of the family with holdings in this part of town. Most of them prefer to live in more esteemed surroundings on the side overlooking the ocean. But yeah, there's a couple of them who haven't quite achieved such lofty heights.
Indeed.
We don't tend to take any particular interest in the dealings of the families here. Our job is to protect and provide religious counsel where needed, ensure that the spiritual well-being of of the the city.
Okay. So I'll ask Kaylee, is Ramul, leader of the Guardians for Surat? Is he? Do you know if he's in town?
I don't know if I've had any dealings with Ramul. I'm afraid they did send a large group out of town recently, Surat. I don't remember where they were headed now. Again, I try to keep my nose fairly clean of that sort of thing. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they had put their guardians on that group, since it seemed like it was a fairly major caravan.
Do you mind, Elder, if we would discuss some things, possibly of metaphysical, possibly of the faith?
Honestly, brother, I wouldn't. It would. Well, aside from Gerda here, I don't get much opportunity to discuss such things, so I'd absolutely welcome it.
So, is there a possibility of different existences?
In what way?
Well, I guess the best way I could put it is some things being one way in a certain area, but different from one day to the next. Whether it's a different dimension or changing of an existence over a night. Is there anything that the gods speak of when it comes to these things?
He sort of sits there for a second, kind of rubbing his temples as he has a think about this. And Gerda next to him sort of makes a weird sort of and actually he disappears off over to the different corner of the building, and you just see him sort of sit down and kind of assume a meditative pose. Seems like he has zero interest in conversations regarding the metaphysical right now. But
Bardor gives a sad, plaintive look as he's able to escape the situation.
Claire wrinkles her nose in a slightly huffy way.
Cato kind of peeks but doesn't walk in. Well, so here's. Let me explain what I do know. Let's go from there. So, the world as we know it is, we have a prime material plane where we reside, and there are a number of worlds that sort of overlap, that exist almost side by side. Places such as the Feywild, and they're not our world though. They are separate worlds that just run alongside. Something like what you're talking about though, that's different. That's something very different. Oh, like an alternate reality or something. I'm not familiar with something like that. That's not to say it doesn't exist, just that it's not something we've ever really learned about. Wish I could provide you with more information, but that's... I wonder if you'd be better off talking to a more arcanely adept person than myself. I don't think this quite falls under my my area of expertise, unfortunately.
I appreciate that.
And now, one thing I will say, I mean, I see you are well equipped. I don't know if this is something that you would consider in your power, but there's an old shrine to Moradin, southeast of here. There's if you follow the coast path down, there's a there's a hill that goes next to the forest there, and right on top of that, right on top of that hill. I believe it's called Bofin's Tor, is the name of the hill, and there's an old shrine there that we sent one of our young initiates out there, and he came back with stories of rasping, breathing, and moving bones. I'm concerned that there is an undead presence there, and unfortunately, myself and Gerda are not able to go tend to this ourselves. We have responsibilities here, but if that's something that you'd be interested in helping us with, we would be greatly appreciated to you, and I dare say that the gods would smile on you.
This intrigues me. I look over at Claire. I will have to discuss this with the rest of my party.
No, I understand. Just think on it, and if you think it's something you can do.
Is this how recently this happened?
Well, the acolyte got back about a week ago. Sorry, the initiate. I think it was about a week ago that he got back with his tail. Obviously, we would like to purge the Tor of any taint of undeath.
No support from the town on this endeavor.
They have politely declined to get involved as it's outside of the city walls and doesn't pose an immediate threat.
Even the Drake's murders.
They have no interest at all. You're welcome to try and convince them yourself, but the Drake's wardens are quite happy just seeing the coin flow. With no threat to coin, they have no interest.
I have lived in this town previously sometime, but I did not initially come from here. I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit of the story as to how perhaps Drakesburg came to be and their influence over the town.
Well, it's maybe 100 years ago that they started sort of establishing a proper foothold and really starting to stretch out from their island. Before that, they had done a good job of just protecting themselves and staying out of any localized mischief. But they were able to use the resources on the island to build up the walls to protect themselves from assault. No one had any desire to try and take on a well-fortified island. So they were left relatively free of interference. The families that have a controlling role on the city, they worked together for once. Elected one of the five was to take charge until they died, at which point there would be a new election and so on. About 100 years ago, they started exerting that influence away from their island using the shipping routes. And because of their position within the bay, they were able to bring stuff quickly across from all sides of the bay, and then use that position of economic importance to claim a place of importance within the port cities around. So I mean, it's been a long process. The Drakesguard Tower here, Drakesburg Guardhouse here, that tower off to the north there, that's been there 80 years or more now. It routinely houses 20 or more of the Drake's Warden. Do what they can to facilitate trade, or so they say. You may find yourself in a wee spot of bother if you get on the wrong side of the Drake Wardens.
I thank you for your time.
Absolutely. No, you're very welcome. If you need to rest, or if you ever find yourself in need of healing or that sort of thing, we are available to help for for a fee. These powers are not, we don't just give them away, I'm afraid. But if you again, now if you help us purge the shrine, then maybe we can have a word about that sort of thing. But for now, a couple of dwarves such as yourselves, you're welcome to take rest here and recuperate before going out into the world. But I'm afraid anything beyond that is full price.
I understand. Thank you. One last question. You had mentioned the potentially talking to someone who has a little more knowledge in the arcane. Can you recommend someone that?
I mean, you could try over the road at the Dead Branch. The herbalist there, I know he dabbles in some unusual stuff. He might know something or know someone. Failing that, you could always just try at one of the taverns, and they're generally quite good for. If they don't know, they know someone who knows.
I bow and look to Claire.
Claire kind of like, in the midst of the end of that conversation, she kind of like holds up her hand like you would in class if you wanted to ask a question.
Oh, hi, Missy. Did you have a question?
I did I know it might sound maybe a bit strange, but I was just curious if by chance the the Hammers are still in residence at Citadel Adbar.
He says, "Oh, aye, yes, aye. The hammers have been well established and are still going strong. Aye."
And she just kind of visibly almost like deflates and just says, "Thank the All-Father."
And he gives a sort of reassuring nod and says, "Aye. The world would be a scary place without them. That's for sure."
Well, thank you kindly. I do imagine that we'll perhaps be back soon.
You're very welcome here. Anytime.
And with slightly more bounce in her step than when she came in, she'll go out and she'll toss another gold in the plate on her way out.
Thank you, sister.
I'll just put my head down, power out, and then as we go out, I kind of take Claire to the side. Said, "What's your dealings with the hammer?"
My brothers in my family, if you're a boy, you're given the option to go to the Hammers or to stay home and help with the brewery. And my sisters, we either stay home or we go to the Sisters of Life. And I was just worried that my brothers didn't exist anymore, but maybe they do.
The Bardor's expression softens, and he says, "If perhaps if we have time, we can go check on him."
It's a nice thought, but it's so far away. It's practically on the other side of the continent from here. But maybe I could find somewhere and just send a letter.
He nods his head, and I'll ask the group, "Is like, well, were you listening, or should we recap?"
Recap, montage.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's what's happening. I'm using hand gestures and sock puppets.
I actually sort of perk up a little at the at hearing that there's undead presence that needs dealing with. Eska says, maybe it'll be a good chance to endear ourselves with the townsfolk and the temple, whilst also a chance to investigate something unusual, and maybe unusual things are being caused by this rift. Though I'll admit he did say it had been a week, but who knows what's going on.
Hi.
Time does seem to be a bit wonky.
Hi.
Are we gonna call it that now? The rift? It might be a bit easier than trying to describe this over and over.
I think I'm just going to call it the thing.
The thing.
Hmm. But rift's a great word.
It does sound cool.
It reminds me of home, but we'll call it the rift. Well, do we want to investigate further, or do we want to offer our services? I feel we could potentially make another ally in this temple if we help them out. But I don't mind doing some undead hunting, but I'm not going to go off course either here. It's not what everybody wants.
Then
Likewise.
again, what even is our cause?
I think information at this point.
Aye.
Yeah, stay out of trouble.
The priest did mention the herbalist in the shop across the way. Maybe they have some better knowledge of the arcane.
I mean, as we're so close, I guess it couldn't hurt.
Why did I record
I said I recorded
the
dead,
dead branch?
Yeah.
I think I may have written it down incorrectly in my thing. As it was dried.
Okay.
It was definitely dried.
You didn't
Tried.
write it down incorrectly.
Nah.
The dwarf remembered it incorrectly.
There you go.
That's right. Good work.
Yeah.
Not
In
quite good
fairness,
enough for inspiration, but it's real close.
In fairness, that is completely plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely how I relate it. I said, yeah, he said something about the dead branch across the street.
I would
So
imagine
right.
that one dwarf got dried wrong and the other dwarf got branch wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just gonna keep calling it the dead branch, to be fair.
We're gonna go around town looking for the dead branch.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be the dried branch.
I mean, he said it was just right across the street.
Why don't we pop into the dried bunch and ask them if they know where it is?
Hey, you know where the dead branch is? No. All right, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
This is D&D through and through.
Claire kind of like shuffling through her pouches. I'm a bit low on incense. I actually could use a pop into the shop.
I myself could stand to visit him as well. So Varus is gonna start walking towards the entrance.
Eska gets up from the side of one tree and sits down by the side of the other tree.
Cater is eager to go in this time.
It is crowded in there. Whew.
I'll lean on the outside and hang out uncomfortably with Eska, I guess.
Eska kind of acknowledges you with a nod, but she's just kind of whittling away at a dried branch.
Cater, you see, is a little bit more comfortable in here than he has been anywhere else so far. You get the feeling that this is his people. Is this the dead branch? And Ingfrim, the store owner, just sort of rolls his eyes and says, "This is the dried bunch, but I think this is probably where you're looking for. How may I be of assistance to you?"
Do you have any incense?
Yes, we have incense. One moment, how much do you need?
It depends.
I see. May I inquire as to what it may depend upon?
Well, to be honest, really, it's just the scents that you have.
I see. One moment. Yes, I have about 5 or 6 different options for you here. Perhaps here, just take one of each type and give it a sniff and see what takes your fancy.
She happily accepts them and starts sniffing.
And is there anything I can do to help any of you non-sniffy types?
So Varus steps forward. He looks down. And he actually steps up beside Claire. He just stares at her while she's sniffing her incense.
She
Then
keeps
he,
sniffing and then noticing, I guess, like the stare, I guess the hairs on the back of her neck stand up a little bit. She like side eyes Silvarius and just kind of makes like just a squinty, like what face with her, but not saying anything. Just
When you're finished, may I?
and looking slightly surprised because that was not the response she was expecting. She, as she's done sniffing the sticks, she'll hand him each one.
he takes them, and he actually starts sniffing them too.
Oh, I see. We have a number of interested folks. Is this for any particular purpose, or is it just to smell?
Oh, it's for my prayers every morning.
Right. These will suffice then. And for yourself, Master Dragonborn.
Components for spells.
Then I think we might need to go to a slightly more delicate set. One moment, and he takes the 6 sticks that he had originally given Claire, gives them back to Claire, and then disappears off into the back room briefly. You hear more rummaging and some slight cursing. And he comes back in and he says, I think these are more what you're looking for. They are well suited to use in arcane matters. And he gives them to you. Visually, they don't look particularly different to the ones he'd given Claire. Based on your training, you do recognize these to be more like what you have seen used in spellcasting previously. Whereas the other ones just look like regular little incense sticks for creating a pleasant smell. These have a sort of arcane element to them.
Ah, much better. I knew something seemed not quite right with the others.
Yes, well, we try to cater to as many different things as we can, of course.
Do you stock more offerings? Some charcoal?
Yes, of course. Charcoal, yes, that's no problem. Herbs I have in abundance. That's really my raison d'etre.
For the arcane,
Indeed.
not mundane.
No, I understand. From my knowledge, usually, unlike the incense, there's not necessarily a specific type of a herb that you will need, although it may depend on the particular thing you're working on. I think we'd probably be able to find something that you would need. Here, and he sort of gestures over to another corner, and there's a set of very small drawers, and he just says, I'll keep an eye on you. And he sort of gestures up, and above that set of drawers, there's a little mirror that's pointing down, sort of, so it's looking straight down at the drawers, and then he just holds up a matching mirror, and he says, "You're free to peruse these herbs as you see fit. Just don't try and get light-fingered. Be an awful start to the day." And he sort of
stern look in Silvarius' eyes right at him as he says that.
Are you suggesting that I would steal from you?
I am merely suggesting that some have been foolish enough to try, and I am letting you know ahead of time that my store is protected. Nothing more. Please, peruse at your leisure. Is there anything else I can do for anyone else while your two friends sniff their way around my store? And Cater just sort of says, I'd also like to sniff my way around the store, please. And without waiting for an answer, he just disappears off to another shelf and starts looking. And Ingfram just says, very well, very well.
I'm actually gonna walk in at this.
Good day, Master Dwarf. Are you with this band of miscreants as well?
I
Splendid, splendid. Would you like something to sniff?
he says. Like, why would you ask such a thing?
Claire pipes up. Are you really sure? They do have some lovely incense.
Silvarius actually shuts one of the drawers right after he mentioned miscreants and walks over to him, imposing like straight up to him.
Mhm. He doesn't flinch. Did you find what you needed?
May I request that you refrain from...
Interrupting him as he's saying this sentence in an obviously aggressive manner. Silvarius. Obviously, he didn't mean it. He's just being funny, isn't he?
I'm not finding it very funny.
Forgive me. It is just how I get through the day. Just a little joke here and there. No offense meant, sir.
And Silvarius kind of walks back over to the corner, starts looking back through the components.
Claire mutters touchy under her breath.
Well, I don't believe I've seen any of you in here before. Are you new in town, or just not often finding yourself in need of smelly things?
Well, I'm new to town.
I see. Well, I can assure you that there is no place finer in town for herbal remedies and the like.
Barter's gonna pipe up and he's like, "Do you have any pipe?"
Why, yes, of course. Now, the only real question is, what sort are you looking for? I mean, just your standard pipeweed, or are you looking for something a little bit more interesting? There are some pipeweeds that have interesting effects on the body, you see.
Maybe another time.
I see. Very well. Let's see, a bag about yay size, and he happens to have one on his person. There's 2 silver pieces. And looking at it, you know that's a good 2-week supply at your usual rate.
Sounds fair. I'll take 2.
2, my goodness. Very well.
Silvarius is kind of like picking up charcoal, examining it. He'll roll it around in his hand, put it back down, finds another piece, looking for what he deems is appropriate. Kind of gathers a couple of the components together.
These should suffice.
Very well. So that was charcoal, the incense, and what herbs did you find in the end? Just mixed herbs.
Yeah, mixed herbs. Material components for ritual casting.
Yeah.
And
Ah, yes, one more thing. A good lead-based ink. To be sure you have that here.
Indeed I do, yes. One moment. Immediately goes to the right drawer for a change and pulls out a little vial of ink and says, I think this will suffice. And he allows you to take a look at it. It's about an ounce of ink, give or take.
Yes. This should do.
So yes, that would be 30 gold pieces, 3 silver pieces, please.
he pulls out his gold pouch and he pours it out onto the table, and it's 10 gold.
Right. If you don't mind me saying so, you're a little bit short. This would cover the incense, so that's nice. Would you like the incense? And I'll just pop the ink back for later.
Is there any form of a deal we could perhaps make?
Well, let's see. I tell you what. I have been looking for some unusual items. There is a farm to the northeast, there is a particular part of the garden where certain flowers are grown and certain creatures are attracted to said flowers. I could give you a list of things that, if you brought them back, I would be willing to accept in lieu of payment for the ink. Would that be amenable to you?
Perhaps. Are you familiar with Knights of the Dawning Sapphire? Far to the northeast. Northwest, sorry.
Yes, I think I've heard of them. Rolled a natural 13 on his history check. Aren't they all dragonborn, such as yourself?
Aye, that they are.
Fancy that.
Fancy indeed. I am currently on a quest from them.
Are you?
I propose in an offer of good faith. We work out an immediate deal.
I see.
You assist me in the acquisition of these components.
And what's in it for me?
It would be rude of me to promise that which I... Never mind. Hold
Thank
the
you.
components for now.
Okay.
And he scoops his gold up and frustratedly walks out the door.
He sort of says to the room at large after you've left, "Oh dear, I appear to have lost a customer. Well, the offer still stands. If you wish to be of assistance to me, I would be grateful and would offer you a little assistance of my own. I do, after all, put these supplies to good use. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. I can provide you a list of ingredients I'm in need of. Unfortunately, my apprentice disappeared a while back and have not been able to find a suitable apprentice since. The farm is just too long a stretch for me to leave the store for such a long period of time."
Curious question.
Yes.
How long ago did you lose your apprentice?
Oh, it's only been in the last day or two. He just didn't show up for work. I'm afraid I'd rather get a little focused on my work, and so I don't. It's a little embarrassing, but I don't fully remember what day it was he disappeared.
Claire's eyes start to look like they're about to pop out of her skull. And she just starts stammering and quickly just straight armed holds up 3 of the sticks of incense and just says, I'll take 5 of each of these. Please. Thank you.
Right. 5 of each. Of course. Are you quite well? He says as he takes the incense from you and goes to gather.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I just I think I have an appointment and I might be late, maybe?
I see. Very well. One moment. Let me wrap this up for you. It'll be 15 silver, please.
She, let's see, just puts 2 gold on the counter.
Would you like your change? He says as he hands over the little bundle of incense to you.
No, that's fine. I
Why,
did,
thank you.
just quickly,
Yes.
this bracelet, is it special? And she just almost half throws the gold bracelet from Bardor at him.
Hold on. Let's see how good his hands are. He catches it. He looks it over and says, You see him sort of like mutter something and pass his hand over it, and he says, "It is not special insofar as being arcane, though it does seem to be a rather magnificent piece. I have no particular interest in it myself, though I dare say you could find an interested party here in town. Might I suggest over at the Two Halves?"
And she just holds her hand back out for it and says, "Yes, thank you. That sounds nice."
And he places it back into your presumably trembling hand. and and you, sir? And Cater has not been paying any attention to any of this and is still just sort of like poring over the shelves enthusiastically. Oh, no, sorry, I'm just window shopping. I'm afraid I don't really have any money, but I'll be coming back. And he realizes that everyone else seems to be leaving, heads towards the exit.
Well, thank you for your assistance, and bye and come again. And I mean, we'll probably come again and have a good day. And she just kind of
Yes.
winces and
Yes, dear.
backs
Have a
out.
good day. Bye bye now. You hear him just sort of mutter, "What strange people," as he closes the door behind you. He has so much stuff, it's amazing. You see, Cater almost has like a hint of drool at the side of his mouth.
Claire looks a little queasy. The bracelet is normal, and he gave us a place that we could go see what it's worth. But more interestingly, he did mention that his assistant disappeared maybe a day or two ago. And I should have asked more questions, but I panicked because I'm not really very good at this whole interrogation thing. And yeah, I just kind of lost my head a bit. There's a farm to the northeast that his apprentice or either him would go to for special ingredients. And his apprentice disappeared. And he hasn't seen him, so he hasn't been able to go to the farm. And he asked us if maybe we would go to the farm and collect the herbs in order to maybe get things from the shop. And she just kind of keeps babbling until it just kind of slowly peters into like nothing.
Well, I feel like we're getting more questions than answers here.
Well, should we continue around town and see? Neither of these tasks, neither one of them seems directly related to us that we're aware of right now.
Though both would endear us to townsfolk, which has its own merits, I suppose. It's all just theory now, but I suppose there's a chance if we moved to this world, others moved to other worlds. Who knows how deep this goes? It's all a bit little overwhelming, really. What's this building that we're backed up against? The big building with the guards.
That is the
Is it
Nagra
like a
God
town hall?
House.
Okay. And they're the good. I mean, they're the guys that didn't beat us up, right?
That is correct.
And the tower towards the top of town is the guys that did beat us up.
Correct.
Eska might have a sort of peek around the corner and just sort of look towards where the well is, and it looks like somewhat of a main road. Is there anything notable happening?
So from where you're at, to your right, you've got a couple of guards there next to the guardhouse. There's a chap, a very large chap, who appears to be resting up against the well. He looks a little worse for wear. You do recognize, though, so there's another guard just on the north side of the road there, and he's talking to the guard captain. You know that to be Captain Ilescu.
Oh, so you know that person?
Yeah, he would know him. Not necessarily personally, but he would know of him. Behind the statue there is Semlin Smith House. You would also recognize up at the top here, there is an inn called the Bucket of Blood.
Oh, jeez.
Charming.
The other houses in this area are all private residences. You're not sure whose is which.
Well, I guess I'm saying is Eska kind of shrugs. She feels a bit lost, really. She kind of looks towards Bader again, and shrugs.
I recognize Ilescu over there.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that information. I know of him. I didn't really know him. I don't know what we're going to be able to ask without raising suspicion.
So Varus is going to approach Ilescu.
Should we roll initiative?
Nay.
Hold on.
He just
Let's see.
raises
No.
his hand.
You're okay.
Well met.
Good day. Can I help you?
Just a simple curiosity in mind.
All right.
I am not from here.
Don't have to tell me that.
He crooks a smile.
But I have business in the area. Are you aware of what happened to the Pickled Quipper outside of town? Why is it in the condition that it is in?
Don't really know what happened there. I know of it. One of my lads was there this morning, looking through rubble. No sign of what happened though. Just seemed to be a burnt-out wreck. Shame. Quite a few of us used to like going there. Have a tipple after our day's work. But oh well.
A burnt out wreck, you say? A fire, one would assume.
I mean, it looked like fire. Aye. Building was collapsed. There was some signs of flames and the like. So two and two together. Couldn't really identify any of the bodies, unfortunately.
Yes, 'tis a shame. Do you have patrols that wander out far outside of town?
Not usually. We try to keep the peace inside the wall mostly. Occasionally, I've been known to do a little patrol, especially if we know there's a big caravan coming down the road. But for the most part, it's not really what we're interested in. Just keep the peace, keep everything nice and calm. That's all we care about. Now, I know there's some caves out that way that kobolds have. We don't really have issues with them. In fact, some of them come into town and trade with the quirky folk over at the Two Halves. But I don't seem like the sort of thing they do.
Not as I know them.
I dare say you would know them.
I'm just gonna wander around a little bit closer to, I don't know, just see if he might recognize me. I mean, I'm not really gonna try to engage in conversation, but I just want to see if there's a passing acknowledgement or anything of that regard.
You gonna just try and walk by really casually, back and forth?
Well, no, I'm just gonna hang back behind Silvarius pretty much and be like, yeah, type one of those.
He sort of vaguely catches your eye, gives you a nod, but no obvious sign of recognition.
I'll just return the nod and just leave it at that.
One more question.
All right.
Within the past couple of days, has there been any odd activities or happenings around town? Near about the time when the Pickled Quipper burned down.
Not that I can think of. No. It was the biggest thing that's happened lately. Got everyone talking because it was a big deal. Like I said, we used to... Oh, excuse me, early in the morning. We used to go out there fairly regular but... Guess we won't be going there no more.
And how about these other guards in town? The Drake's Wardens. What is their business here?
Doing as they always do, just protecting the interests of trade for Drakesburg. You know, everything from Delzimmer goes out through the port and off to Drakesburg.
Are they known to engage with in a manner to kill random travelers amongst the road?
Make a persuasion check. Yeah, let's say persuasion. What's hold on.
4.
Eska's ears are perked up and she's definitely listening intently.
He says, I don't really know what you're getting at there, but you want to be careful. I don't do to go around suggesting that guards are misbehaving.
You know, sometimes people hear things, tales of improper action.
Well, if it was going on, I'd know about it.
And are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure, he says. And you can see the guard next to him looks kind of looks uneasy. The guard sort of looks away from this, kind of trying to not be associated with it, and looks over towards the guardhouse. But as he does, Ilescu just gives you just a very, very minor wink. You almost miss it, but you just about catch it. All right, look. Enough of this talk. If you want to be useful dealing with such, by all means, go investigate the Pickled Quipper. I'm sure you can find all sorts of things out there. Better yet, go talk to those kobolds, make sure it wasn't them. I'm pretty sure one of my men said something about other creatures down there too. No doubt they may have had something to do with that fire, if it wasn't the kobolds.
What kind of other creatures?
I don't know. One of the young guards, Gerald. Gerald said something about something long and squiggly. I don't know. These young pups, they come up and they think they're ready and they just never are. Swears he saw something long and squiggly.
No. Was that his only descriptor?
Gerald's not so much one for the words, I'm afraid.
Did he say that it was around the Pickled Quipper?
I'm sorry, you are?
My apologies. My name's Bardor.
No, I don't think it was next to the Quipper. I was down by the caves.
Tavares just kind of like looks off to the side, like halfway towards Bardur, and just says,
That's interesting.
Aye. Interesting.
Could we speak with Gerald?
Gerald. Not Gerald. That's his brother.
Sorry, speaking in common is not my favored approach. There's a lack of the understanding of Draconic in the area. My pronunciation may be off.
All right, fine enough. Gerald, he's on bed rest for now. He was a bit shook up, and well, there wasn't a lot going on, so I gave him a couple of days off. He'll be back on duty either tomorrow or the day after. You're welcome to speak to him then, but don't disturb him at home.
Very well.
Right then, I'm gonna go off. I've got work to do. I suggest you don't loiter too much, otherwise you'll find my men have something to say to you. But by all means, enjoy the city. And he doesn't really wait for you to react, and he heads off towards the guardhouse and disappears inside.
Well, that could be a potential lead.
I find the long and squiggly bit the concerning part. Matches an element of what we are familiar, but still more questions.
Oh, what did he have to say? Says Cater, just interested. I'm assuming we have a recap montage again.
Yep.
Eska says, Severius, are you sure it's wise to ask so many questions about inappropriate guards? I would hate for them to put two and two together.
Especially to the
Yes.
captain?
Why, I find no problem in asking.
Very well.
He is a
just
town guard.
I understand it's questions that would be good to know the answers to. I would hate for the Drake's wardens to mention that they've lost some people to the captain near the Pickled Quipper.
It might seem suspicious. However, anyone that served in guard post or combat, no, there are deserters. They may not have been happy with the stay here.
As of now, we're strangers asking strange questions.
Should we take this conversation to another area before the guards get suspicious?
Yes, let's not loiter.
I mean, should we go to the bloody bucket or whatever that? Nah, bucket of blood. That was
We could go to the Bony Bucket, but we'll have to see if we can find it. What?
I mean, it's just you know.
We have heard a place mentioned twice now that may be worth going to.
The
An
two
inn,
halves.
maybe? The two halves. I don't know if it was an inn or... but it has two people now have mentioned it as a possible place of interest.
That's true. I don't know. Do I know what the two halves is?
Yeah, you know the two halves. It's a store. It is two stores in one, run by elf twins, Erin and Ephraim. One half of the store is kind of like just general goods. That's run by Erin. The other half is a clothing store run by Ephraim. So they do a little bit of everything, but Ephraim in particular is focused more on clothing.
If they're elves, I could possibly talk to them. Maybe try sell that bracelet for you.
Then if maybe later, if we don't have any more leads, going to a tavern where people like to talk might be a good place to go.
I, for one, could definitely use a drink.
What I need, I don't have the currency for.
Perhaps after the selling of the bracelet.
Wait, you saying you would share with me?
Yeah, it looks like we're in this together. So I think it's best for us to be as strong as we can as a group.
I would be grateful in times like these.
For better or worse, we're the only ones that know what's happened to us so far. It makes sense for us to stick together.
I think we're all heading to the two halves.
Is there anything of note or interest as we're passing through this part of South Delzimmer?
Further south, as you walk past, there's a little halfling guy sitting on a bench, and he has some sort of bird sitting on his shoulder. From where you're at, it's hard to really tell. Anyone who wants to make a nature check as they walk past is welcome to see if they can identify it.
I am fond of birds.
South of the well, sitting on the bench.
Both in and out of character.
Oh, like
So, how many bird watching references are going to be in this campaign?
It's a risky thing to ask. Then the sort of the tipped over T-shaped building is identified by a sign on the outside. Gelngerd's furniture store.
Is it going out of business?
No. Strangely, it is not.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it's not worth going in then.
No, not yet.
No.
Gotta wait for that closing business sale.
One every month.
And then eventually you come across the two halves, in which you can find Erin and Ephraim.
I'm gonna head on in and head for the clothing person.
Okay, that would be the right-hand side, so Ephraim.
I will lower my hood.
It's really quite nicely laid out.
Hmm.
As you go in, you're welcomed by a broad smile on both faces. They are, in terms of the face, the two female elves are almost identical. It's very hard to pick out the differences for non-elves. You, Eska, would probably be able to spot the differences just a little better, having being an elf yourself. Ephraim is wearing extravagant clothing. Um, it's like a full length dress. And strangely, she's there just sort of like looking around the store with a gray rabbit curled up in her arms. On the other side, Erin is wearing a far more practical outfit, non-pretentious cloth trousers and waistcoat. You can see just visible. There's a stoppered flask in one of the pockets. But yes, they welcome you in, and there's some soft music coming from somewhere. You can't place it immediately. There's just a little bit of bird song, a little bit of music. With your nature check, by the way, you were not able to identify the bird. Looked a bit bigger than a pigeon, maybe. That's about it.
Big pigeon. So on entering and getting this atmosphere, Esker is visibly relaxes and kind of looks around happily. And possibly, maybe close to the first time she's sort of, her expression has softened. Are the clothes looking kind of like quite sort of grand? Or are they looking like sort of, relatively normal fare?
There's actually a pretty good collection covering all sort of walks of fashion. There's some very practical, like down to earth working clothes. There's some sleek, very dark clothes. There's nice earthy tones. There's cloaks and capes. There's sort of like full aristocratic ball dresses, and
Okay.
like it's the full works basically from prince to pauper is represented
Okay.
in the clothing selection.
Esker will kind of approach and bow her head slightly and just say, in Elvish, she'll say, good morning, sister.
And good morning to you. Welcome to the two halves, in Elvish. Sort of looking over at the rest of the group and realizing that there's not a lot of recognition on faces. She says, and good morning to you all as well, in common.
I would like to think she adds in common at the end.
She probably does.
Esker will say, I'm actually looking to potentially both buy and sell
Very well.
or trade.
We are
As you
able to
can
facilitate both.
see, I am somewhat in need of something for myself, and she kind of
Indeed, you
gestures
are.
to herself and looks over the Rex and says, "Nothing extravagant, just
Yes, well, as you say, you are you are rather in need of something.
it's it,
What sort of thing were you thinking of?
just practical. I'm out in the wild a lot, so
I
something
see.
that can take the rigors of such work. Something of
Indeed.
a hunter, so natural colors, durable.
Yes, quite. Let's see. Something green, perhaps?
It's my favorite color.
Very well, very well. And she points over to something she thinks would be suitable. This one is 1 gold piece for this set. Fairly modest, and if I may say so, I think within your budget. Well made by elvish artisans who are obviously skilled at their craft.
She sort of like sort of holds up a part of it and kind of feels it and says, "Yes, it's durable but soft and definitely elvish."
Alternatively,
Mm-hmm.
we have this one over here, and she gestures to another set that is as you walk towards it, the color shifts ever so slightly
Mm-hmm.
as the light hits it. You're looking at it again, very very well made. Um, Definitely, whatever fabric's been used is something a little bit more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
The stitching on it is neater, and just everything about it sort of just screams that it's of a higher quality. And again, very very sort of earthy tones. Uh, as like I said, as you walk towards it, it shifts between sort of slightly lighter greens, then moving into darker greens. Little hints of brown come in every now and then. And she says, "This one, which I will note, comes with a free resizing, unlike the other one. Uh, this one would does run a little more, but as you can see, is a little more exquisite. This one, however, does run uh, at 10 gold pieces." You're
Okay.
not necessarily familiar with the fabric it's come from. You do get the feeling that that this isn't just fabric. This could be some sort of fur or leather that's been involved here to get that kind of effect. But you're not sure what exactly.
My eyes kind of light up seeing that, and I definitely spend a lot of time like looking at it, and I turn and say, "I could get this, but right now it seems a bad idea. I should be frugal, but I will be back for this."
Well, you said you
But
had something to sell. Perhaps we can find some sort of middle ground here.
Eska kind of looks back at the group and says, and then looks back at her and says, "I would feel, I would feel bad spending the the group's money on this. I will most certainly take the first outfit you showed me, and I, I will come back."
Very well. So
Uh,
1 gold for the other ones.
she slips her a gold, and at the same time kind of says, "And this is what perhaps we were looking to sell to you, if it's of any interest."
She takes a look. Well, this is a rather magnificent piece. It's funny. I rather suspect that you may have been having me on earlier, where you were concerned about costs. When you say you're willing to part with this,
Yes.
well, one moment. Erin, come look at this.
Eska nods to her as well.
And reciprocated, and Ephraim passes the bracelet over. Oh my goodness, this is. Ooh, I have to say, we don't often get pieces of this quality brought in. I think we could be persuaded to part with some gold for this. This is, yes, no, I know. Oh, I can think of at least 5 people up on the hill who would be interested in purchasing this. Would you be willing to accept 250 gold for it?
Eska sort of looks up, pondering, and sort of says, I should probably check with the others. Would you mind?
No, of course, by all means.
She wanders back over and says,
And the sisters sort of like take a moment to look it over, and
kind of in a low tone, says, this is worth more than I think we thought it was.
Can I do some sort of a value check?
give me an insight to see if you can ascertain the value of the piece. It's a bit oddball, but whatever.
16.
Oh,
Very
well.
well.
The high rolls at the beginning.
You think that sounds like it could be about right. That's not to say you couldn't get more for it, but also you might have got less for it, depending.
I mean, certainly that would be a big help to us in establishing ourselves here.
Yes, I believe that could go a long way outfitting our troop.
Eska will wander back over. 250 sounds reasonable.
Very well, we'd be delighted.
I really want to ask for more, but they're elves, so I feel bad. I'm restraining myself.
Now, would you prefer that in gold or platinum?
If you have both, maybe how about 150 in gold and 100, I guess 10 platinum.
Very well. And Ephraim disappears over to a little stand and starts putting it into two different pouches and hands it over to you. And was there anything else we can help you with today? Anything you need or anything else you have to sell? Any other delightful trinkets like this?
I wish. You probably hear a lot of gossip from townsfolk, right?
And for a second, you think you see the slightest hint of a blush. Well, you know, one hears things, but one doesn't want to get involved in gossip. You understand? That would be a little inappropriate. But
Oh, I agree. Not involved in so much as our party here is passing through,
I see.
and we try and help wherever we go. We've already heard a few rumors of people seeming to disappear, which is always a worry. Have you heard such rumors? There was the shopkeeper at the herbalist. He said he hadn't seen his assistant recently. That's not good. And there was another. Is this something that has been occurring a lot? Do you know?
Ingfrin's assistant.
Yes.
If I recall correctly, he had rather a soft spot for his beverages. I rather suspect that he may have been caught up in that awful business at the Pickled Quipper.
Oh.
I don't know if Ingfrin was particularly aware of his apprentice's habit, shall we say.
What have you heard about the Quipper? We passed by it, but it looked that was recent.
Yes, very recent. From what I understand, there have been reports of bandits to the south of the city, in the direction of the Quipper. We don't know much more about it, though. I did hear that the rather unusually, some of the Drakeswarden had been involved in going out there. Might be worth having a word with them to see if they know anything about the bandit activity.
For certain, they seem like a friendly and open sort.
They help facilitate a certain amount of trade for us. Go ahead and make a deception.
No, I'm kind of saying it sarcastically, if that helps.
Okay, go ahead and make a persuasion.
Okay.
Oh my god.
That's a 6.
There was literally only one thing that would have failed that for you.
Yeah.
Then you nearly got it. Yes, no, they are.
We're really good at this.
Yeah. Nailing it.
Obviously, they're an upstanding group of citizens.
As she says that, does she believe it, or is she going along with me? What's she?
Make an insight check.
Come on, 16.
She's a little hard to get a read on. You've not been around elves in a little while, and you've forgotten just how passive their faces can be at times.
I'm
You've been
assuming these
around some
aren't.
very expressive humans and dwarves lately, who wear their
Yeah,
hearts on their sleeves a little bit. And
I assume that these are not moon elves either,
no,
so
no,
they're
these
probably
are
not quite as open as
no, these are.
they just high elves or
Yeah,
sun
I was
elves.
gonna say high elves, and I was like, is that? I couldn't remember if that was a thing or not
Yeah,
because it felt
but
right.
I know you have sun elves as well, so they could easily be sun elf. I think there's some association between various ones. Yes, but no other disappearances that you've heard of outside of the Quipper accident. We're really trying to sort of do what we can to help, and we're sort of trying to work out what the most pressing causes are.
No, well, that's very noble of you, just passing through. No, I think. I mean, the obvious thing to do seems to be talk to the
Yes.
guards, whether it's the Naga or the Drake Wardens, and see what information you can find out. And if you can do something to help, I'm sure that would be greatly appreciated. As I said, it's unusual for them to venture outside the city walls, so no doubt they would benefit from assistance for such things.
Well, I do thank you for your kind service and information. I believe one or two of my friends may have been looking to purchase from the other of your two halves.
Ah, right. Yes, Erin. If you would be so kind as to help these folks. And yes, we can. She says, yes, I'll be quite happy to assist you. Please, come. Explore. If you have anything you wish to buy or sell, please let me know. Do you, how do you divvy up the money?
I guess I wander back over and I say, we could possibly share this outside, but if you need any right now, let me know. I'll just be right here. I feel a little self-conscious, like divvying up money in the middle of a store.
Can we tell what the other, like what they have to offer at the other half?
On display, you see pretty much everything that isn't weapon and armor, basically, that you would find in the PHB. Anyone else need anything else?
No, nothing for.
Nothing from the general store.
I thought that was your new nickname for yourself.
So did I. I thought,
Oh,
wow, Silveris is
Really
really
making a power play.
yeah.
Taking control.
Yeah, if nobody else has anything, Eska's just going to again thank them for their help and say that she hopes to be back soon, depending on how things go.
Yes, you're very welcome here. We appreciate your custom. And if you find anything else like that wonderful bracelet, please don't hesitate to bring it to us.
And then I guess when we get outside, Eska's going to hand the money to Bardur. We could, if we wanted, hold back the platinum as a kind of emergency fund and divvy up the rest. Depends how much people want to spend, I suppose.
Might not be a bad idea.
If one of us dies and we need a resurrection or something, I don't know how much that costs, but you know, could put it towards that.
Um,
How would Cosette feel about holding on to it?
Yeah, that's fine with me. I don't mind.
Anybody object? In character.
nay.
Very well. I reckon that's a pretty decent place to stop for now. This is from a website called Incarnate, spelled with a K.
That's really cool.
This is my first attempt, so hopefully they'll get better.
I mean,
Oh,
honestly,
so
this is really good.
Yeah.
So you made this, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I
that
mean,
was-
you know, constructed it using.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
nice.
is all from scratch.
No, I like this a lot.
Very snazzy.
Right then. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Phil.
Good shopping as always. Well done.
Yep, that was fun.
Look
Aye.
forward to more shopping again next time.
2 solid sessions just of shopping.
We're never gonna leave the town.
Thank you very much for listening. As a reminder, and I'm sure I've said this before, our podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon. Basically, if there's a place where podcasts are available, we're probably there by now. If not, let us know and we'll try to get there. If you're not enjoying how you're consuming the Pickled Quipper, by all means consider one of those other alternatives. For now, thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.